away, send out 1,000 resumes or whatever. But it was so important to come from clarity and not from scatterbrain. So today I would like to give you something that you can take home with you for whether you're reinventing yourself or going back into the fire of whatever you've been doing. If you're starting a new business, this can support any and all of that. And we're going to do a very simple meditation technique today, breathing based. And the intent is just to clear our minds. So we're going to do 5 breaths. So that's an inhale and an exhale for each breath. And you want to elongate the inhale and elongate the exhale. So if you do about 5 seconds on the inhale, you want to try to match it with about 5 seconds on the exhale. Don't force it too much, but a little bit of a stretch is good. And go at your own pace. In the next 20 seconds, some of you are going to do 10 breaths. In the next 20 seconds, others might do 3 breaths. It's okay wherever you're at. So I'm going to sit with you and do this, and you can close your eyes if you like. And last but not least, make sure you're expanding your belly. I give you full permission to let it all out. Just fully breathe in. It's very good for coming into that peaceful parasympathetic mode of your nervous system. Okay, so gentle inhale. And 1 or 2 more breaths, and we'll wrap up here. Wonderful. This is very common where people don't want to come back into the room after we start this. But welcome back into the room. So now you guys, well, first of all, I'd like you just to feel for a moment. Feel your mind, feel your body. Ask yourself, how do I feel? Just note it down mentally how you feel right now. Cool. So with this very simple technique, if you simply did this consistently, daily, consistency is more important than quality or duration, or we're not trying to achieve anything here. You're not going to get an A on this test. There's no A's and F's in meditation. Yeah, if you just did this consistently, this would certainly help you with your career search, keeping that expanded awareness of your career search, as opposed to getting too in the weeds and then losing that valuable perspective. There could be opportunities sitting right in front of you right now, but you can't even see them because you're here in your awareness. And this is going to keep you open and expanded. So if you'd like a little more advanced technique of meditation, I do that weekly in the class, and I would love to see you there this Tuesday. It's a little more advanced, but everyone here can learn that technique. Everyone can pull that off for sure. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Chidananda. All right, if we can get the next panel up for how to transition careers.
How many do we have? We did a stool here if someone wants.
I told her to me sitting down. Almost.
You can use that stool if you like. You want to trade it out. Sure. Yeah. Albert's spot.
All right. We're here for the How to Transition Careers panel. We'll just start off by letting everyone introduce themselves. Go ahead.
Hi everyone, I am Andrea Vasquez. I'm a client success director at Tangerine, but also on the side, I do love career coaching. I partner closely with the Dantois Foundation in Santa Rosa to provide free workshops for the community, and I'm very passionate about sharing with job seekers in particular how to use AI to land their dream job. And I'm also, my husband has a business for janitorial and carpet cleaning, so I know that part of the, I guess, non-tech world. And I'm a dancer and we promote events. So yeah, if you're interested in dancing, I'm also somebody that we can chat, especially bachata, salsa, gotta bring the Latin spice. I also speak Spanish. I'm from Ecuador, so nice to meet you.
Fantastic. Thanks for that meditation also. That was a great way to get started here. I'm Christopher Love. I live in Santa Cruz, California. I work at Bodhi Behavioral Health. I also work with Boys to Men Mentoring. I'm a youth mentor, but I'm also a life coach, and I specialize in relationship, because absolutely everything that we do is about relationship. So that's it for now, and more later.
Hi, my name is Monica. I'm the owner and primary writer at NextGen Resumes. So I write resumes, and I do specialize in career transitions. There's some new techniques, so I'm happy to share that with you.
Hi everyone, I'm Ha. I moved to the US about 8 years ago, and in the last 8 years, I've been navigating my own career in tech, going from an IC to executive at a startup. And most recently, I left my job to start my coaching. I'm an executive coach. I'm at the very beginning, so I'm trying to exploring, what value can I bring? And it's for now, people really love working with me on job search and interview. So that's where I am at the moment.
Fantastic. I am April Starlight. I am the founder of Tangerine Search. We recruit a whole bunch of various roles. Product design engineering is what we tell our clients, and then about half the job orders that come in are finance, they're HR, social media, everything in between. I am a longtime Albert's List contributor. We've presented and helped a lot of different job seekers. I like to come at it from the opposite perspective, right? As a person who has looked at 150 resumes and LinkedIn profiles every day for 15 years, you get a lot of perspective on what works and doesn't work, and I'm happy to be here and answer questions today.
Awesome. Everyone, I am Brian Kwa. I'm a first-gen Asian American that grew up in a low-income household and was trying to find my passion and my purpose for a while. And I went through the traditional route of becoming like a doctor, lawyer, or pharmacist that my parents wanted me to be, but realized that path wasn't for me. And through 10 odd jobs, I finally found the career that fit me. And it was because of a mentorship program and a boot camp that taught me how to break into tech. And the fundamentals that they taught me is what I've implemented to work for companies like Google, YouTube, Uber, and beyond. And now I'm teaching that to other people, not only so that they can land a job, but to find their purpose and passion too, to align yourself with a company that actually cares for you, right? So, yeah, and now I'm the founder of my own company, MPH Tech Academy. We teach people using AI to land their next career, and I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Hi everyone, my name is Julian Sproul. I'm a seasoned recruiter. I have a decade of experience in building various different teams, product design, engineering, as well as marketing and other disciplines as well within tech. And most recently, I transitioned and became an executive recruiting coach, where I work with director level and above career explorers to be able to match them with their next values aligned opportunity. You can call me like the Yenta for tech, or a talent matchmaker in that regard. I found my way into this passion of mine through going through my own career exploration. And so excited to be able to share the learnings and lessons that I learned along the way about possibly transitioning out of tech to then realize, hey, you know what? I actually can apply a lot of my learnings and a lot of my skill sets to what I've been doing for the last decade, but in this way that really connects more with my purpose and my deeper purpose for helping and support the individuals, because you are so much more than your resume. So thank you so much for having me here. Looking forward to this.
Thanks, Julian. Thank you to all our panelists. I'll introduce myself as your moderator. My name is Eric Forst, and I'm the coordinator of the Workforce Development DAO, which is a part of We Heart SF. You've seen our logo around the ring t-shirts. We Heart SF is a community of activists and people who are passionate about Web3 technology and solving the homeless problem in the city of San Francisco. So we meet every Wednesday, and I invite all of you to come to our luncheon every Wednesday from 12 to 1:30 right down the street here at the House of Web3, which is run by a company called Edge and Node that produce a blockchain called the Graph blockchain. And we have 6 working groups that we call DAOs, Decentralized Autonomous Organizations, and I run the Workforce Development DAO. We also have DAOs for street outreach, mentorship, recovery, mental health, and interim housing. I started my career in sales and marketing, and I was lucky to run marketing departments for 2 different national staffing agencies. So I have a lot of passion helping recruiters do their job. So I'm really excited to talk to all of you today. I also am an entrepreneur, and I have a few startups, which is why I started going to the House of Web3. And I just wanted to share the best advice I've gotten in transitioning careers, and then we'll open it up to the rest of you for this question. I was really lucky to get some advice and to learn some statistics having been in the industry, which is that only about 5 to 10% of people find a job from a job board. That means 80 to 90% of you are going to find jobs from your network. And the best thing that you can do if you're looking for a job or looking to transition to careers is think like a marketer. Think of it as a marketing campaign. Make a target list of the top 30 companies that you want to work for and start reaching out to all of those people who either have the job that you would like to have at that company or you think might be the hiring manager at that company. Reach out to them on LinkedIn and ask for an informational interview, ask to take them out to coffee or to lunch, and just ask them about their job and just build those relationships, expand your network. So with that, I want to kick it off to each of you. What would you say is the key to transitioning a career? We can go in chronological order, however you guys want to do it.
The key to transitioning my perspective is 1, clarity, and 2, planning, which is easier said than done. I get it. So for clarity, just really understanding, where is it that you want to transition to, and then putting a plan in place to get there. Given that I do coach on using AI to land your dream job, I am going to give some AI prompting tips along the way. So for those of you that don't have that clarity and you're like, I don't know where I want to go and you need some ideas, one really great AI prompt, and I am a fan of using ChatGPT, that's just my preference. You can say, based on my skills and interest, what are job titles that may be a good fit for me? List all your skills, list all of your interest, leave out experience if you don't want the AI to consider that. And you can also be very specific. You can say, I do not want a tech job. I want to move out of tech if that's what you desire. But see what it comes back with, and it will give you a really great foundation and a starting point to explore those jobs further.
Awesome, fantastic. I think there's going to be a little bit of redundancy with all of us up here, and then there will probably be some individual tips as well, because when I start working with people, I start with an interest list as well. Because one of the things that I'm really interested in is, are you living something that's passionate for you? Are you living something that you'd want to do the rest of your life? Because what I see is a lot of times people fade out because they just went into this career because it was about the money. And then they realize that just the money isn't sustainable, right? And we start to lose track of our humanity. So we want to have something that's connected with our deeper purpose. And so clarity, I like that word a lot, getting clear about what your purpose is. So what I like to represent up here is I represent the the fool who jumps off the cliff, right? So I've reinvented myself over and over again my whole entire life. My dad probably is the one who's responsible for that because he kicked my butt when I was like 16 and said, by the way, you're going to want to go out and date, and you're going to want to have albums, and you're going to want to buy fancy clothes and things like that. I'm not paying for any of that because my only deal with God is to provide you a home and some food. So he had me go out and he said, you can get a job or you can start your own business. Well, my own business. So he just said, okay. And he walked me through it. Every time I came back with him with another step, he would say, okay, and then what did you think about this? Did you think about this? But by the time we went through this for several months, it was grueling and I was upset and I was a teenager and I was just like, why are we doing all this? And I was so upset with him, right? At the end, I had a complete financial prospectus. I had an entire business plan. And then at the end, I needed a couple $1,000s to get my business started. And I said to my dad, where do I get that? Will you provide it? And he said, well, do you have a plan as to how to pay me back? And then I went back to work again. And when I came back and finally brought him something that he was satisfied with, he actually threw out the $2,000 and said, let's go to the store. My prospectus said that I would pay him back in a year, and I had him paid back in the first 6 months. Every single time that I realized I needed to make a change in my life, I use that plan to reinvent myself. And what I see is, so there's 99.9% of all the businesses in America are small businesses. 97% of all those businesses have employees. So most of the businesses in America, we always think business, we think about corporate big, but actually there's more small businesses than there are large businesses. So you can think about working for those. You can also think about creating your own. Somewhere between 15 and 20% of small businesses fail in the first year. And the reason is that they didn't get the planning and they didn't have the coaching and they didn't have the understanding and the experience, and they make too many mistakes at the very beginning. So what ends up happening, especially if they opened up a space that's got any high overhead, is that they got everything together. I've got a buddy who just opened up a coaching business where he had trainers and all this stuff. He got a brick and mortar. And next thing you know, he's got this looming payments every single month bleeding him out, thinking that he had such a great idea. Everybody's going to come to him, right? And then they didn't come as fast as he needed them to pay the bills. So you got to have that plan. You have to know exactly how long am I going to go before my money runs out and the whole bit. So all the planning is absolutely necessary. Every single time that I've jumped and been successful, it's because I've gotten all the back-end planning done. I knew exactly what I needed to do. I got research. I was passionate about it. It came from my interests, and I was willing to do the work, and I was willing to put in whatever it took, because that's really what it will take to do that. So that's a jump into your own private industry, whatever that is. You can reinvent yourself to be anybody that you want, as long as it comes from a deep place within yourself.
That was good. I have a little bit more of a more practical perspective because I write resumes. So I'm looking at just the nitty gritty of how am I going to reposition this person into, another role. And I've actually done quite a bit of this recently, as I have a specialty with, I've been doing a lot of long-term military career transitions. So I've done at least 10 people with 20 to 30-year military careers. These people have very prestigious roles. One of them was the person who negotiated peace treaties with other countries. He was the one to determine who got out of Guantanamo Bay and when. Like, these are very, very high-level, prestigious people who have zero job titles in the corporate world. Zero. So I had to really come up with some techniques. I mean, one of them, and I'm happy to show anybody, I did bring a couple of samples, so if anybody wants to talk to me after this, we can. But one of the techniques is making sure, I don't do a top career summary, I do professional strengths, bullets. The first line is always, something along the lines of so-and-so with 20 years of experience currently transitioning into blah, blah, blah. So I'm letting them know right away, here's my experience, but I'm looking this way. And then each of the bullets below will have a skill, and it's important to look at skills, not job titles. Don't say manager, leader. Don't say salesperson, negotiator. These are all skills, and what you want to do when you're transitioning, don't highlight the roles you've held, highlight the skills you have. And then if you can massage that into ways that they would apply to your next industry you're looking at, of course, that's helpful. So that's great. And the other thing that I do is, people think that keyword search terms, for these applicant tracking systems, that you need to write this long resume and use these words over and over again. And then, I don't understand the idea of making your resume unreadable to the human just to be seen by the computer, and then the human's like, ready to kill themselves reading your stuff. So I always keep the resume brief, concise, to the point, and make sure you're just looking at it from the reader's perspective, not yours. But another really cool trick is just putting keyword search terms as a header at the end. People think you have to have those keywords in the resume. No, you don't. Everybody's doing this nowadays. We all know it. We all see it. It's not a secret. Nobody's hiding. Nobody's getting away with that. So I just put a header, keyword search terms. So like on a lot of these military resumes, operations officer, operations leader, this, that, the other, you just come up with 50 different ways, and and that's where I put job titles. That's where I say, now here's where I want you to go look on the web, look at everything. Anytime you come across a job title that interests you, put that in your keyword search terms. So now what they're doing is they're just saying, look, these are the jobs I'm interested in. There's nothing disingenuous about that. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, again, all these people are very highly qualified people. They just don't have those job titles. So don't be afraid to put yourself in a keyword search term section at the end. You used to be able to put it in white and hide it from the human. Don't do that anymore. They know that. So don't do that. Just be honest. Just let it show. But anyway, there's a lot of different techniques that you can use. I'm happy to talk more about it, but I definitely have got more of the practical resume perspective and not so much the recruiter perspective. So I'm glad these guys are here.
So for me, the most important thing when it comes to career transition is resilient. Because the reality is you are stepping into a new territory and you may not have the credibility, the experience, you don't look the part yet. So it's going to take you a lot of time and effort. You may get, not may, but you will get a lot of rejection. So you really need to build in resilience from the beginning. Like, hey, this is what I am doing. I'm going to get rejection. I'm going to be disappointed. And from there, build into your support system endless people who can hold you literally, figuratively throughout the process. Because it will be hard. So if anything, I would look into, my support system, my resilience, and how to build it.
That's fantastic. I think I'd like to lean a little bit on something that Andrea said, which was about getting clarity. And I would like to first just take a minute to acknowledge we all have blind spots, right? Things that we don't know about ourselves. Things that we don't know about the world, maybe jobs that could be a good fit for us that we don't know exist. So as a personal anecdote, similar to Mr. Love, I wasn't always a recruiter. That wasn't my first stop on my career journey. I was always an entrepreneur, started my first business at 7 years old, enlisted my friends as my employees, sales team. I don't know why anyone was my friend, you guys, to be honest. But I had a very cool business idea in my early 20s. I had 2 kids under 3 years old. They were driving me crazy, and I thought, I should open an indoor restaurant playground. That's what I should do at 23. So here I was with a staff of 7 people, like 2-story pirate ship, a community classroom. Restaurants are incredibly difficult businesses, even if you know how to run one, which I did not, right? So there I was, forced in the middle of a career transition and with everything on the line, right? Like I have dependents. this is a real thing going on. And I ended up taking a weird job at a kind of questionable financial services company where my salary was fully paid by the Obama, what was it? They were like paying salaries to stimulate the economy, right? And at that job was a wonderful person named Ethan Allen who said, "You'd be a great recruiter." Okay, great. Sounds great. Sign me up. Where do I go? And this person actually advocated for me at a company where he had some friends for 3 months until they hired me. And on my first day I started, it was like, oh my God, I love this job. I get to talk to so many different kinds of people and it's so fun. And there's commission, it's a little bit casino, it's a little bit, of a party. It's everything that I love to do. I didn't even know this was a job, right? So my son has a friend, she's 19 years old working at Target. By the way, Target's a great employer. They have a 5% 401k matching. This girl's 19 years old with $5,000 in her retirement fund today.
That's awesome.
Shout out to Target. She's looking for a career. She really doesn't want to go to school. She's terrified of student loan debt like a lot of kids in her generation. Well, other people are keeping an eye out for her, right? And bringing opportunities to her. She just went on usajobs.gov or whatever the website is and applied to be an air traffic controller. A 19-year-old working at Target is not going to think of this as a career opportunity, right? So what I'm saying through all of these stories is just sometimes enlist the people around you to be your eyes and ears. Other people are going to end up in rooms that you're not standing in. They know people you don't know. They see opportunities that you don't necessarily know about. And then, listen with an open mind when things get brought to you. Maybe people will bring you ideas that are not the best for you. I know my mom does that for me sometimes. But there's also like tangential things, right? Like, oh, that's not a great fit for me. But as I'm researching this particular opportunity, hey, there's something in that field or related to that is interesting to me that I didn't know existed. So that's what I would say.
Awesome.
Thank you. Just to piggyback, yeah, we should be clapping. Yeah, we should. Thank you. Thank you. Just to piggyback off that, I really resonate with that because my first year in tech was in tech sales. And then if it wasn't for other people giving me opportunities, hey, I think you'd be a great recruiter as well. And at first I was hesitant, but they kind of sold me saying like, instead of selling just a software or service, you're selling an opportunity. You're changing someone's life. And for me, impact was everything, right? So I took the chance, and sometimes you have to just take these risks and, just have an open mind, right? If you're stuck, what I realize, and I'll speak for myself, maybe you guys can resonate with this too. If you're feeling stuck for a while, it's a sign that you have to just open up your mind and try something new, or take in a perspective that you've been rejecting for a while, potentially, right? That's the value of coaches that we kind of like overlook. And I think that I can get through life myself. I got this, the weight's on my shoulder, I can do this. And then you realize, no, you just need a little bit of help. But then once you put that out into the world, everything starts opening up for you. I saw a LinkedIn post that said, guys, I'm just reaching out for help. I usually don't do this. I need a job, right? And next thing you know, this post goes viral. It has 3,000 likes, 1,000 comments. Everyone's reaching out. Hey, I have an opening here. I have an opening there. I'm happy to refer you. I just looked at your LinkedIn profile. So learning how to be vulnerable and being on the platforms that allow you to get those connections and leveraging that using AI potentially, right? I think that's the key right here. And we all could be a little bit more vulnerable, I feel. So yeah, that's what I would do in regards to transitioning into something new. Listen more than you talk. And I say this to myself as well every single day. So, amen.
Yeah, vulnerability and curiosity as well. It's really well said. So being that I'm the caboose of this train right now, I'm taking notes. I'm not, TikToking or anything like that right now. And I just wanted to provide just some themes, some through lines in terms of like what everyone said with my own reflections. So one is around clarity. I'm much more less talk, more do. So when I was going through my own career exploration, I had the privilege of being able to have some expendable income to hire on a career coach. And the career coach gave me a free resource. And I was like, wait, hold on, so I'm paying you, but you're giving me a free resource? She was like, it's the best. It's the best in class. And so I did it. It was amazing. And it really helped me get clarity, even more so. And so I know that, in these times, it's tough in terms of being able to justify, if you have some expendable income to work with a coach, and highly recommend that. And also, if you don't, I want to provide a free resource, which is called Career Design Lab. It is a free Coursera course put together by a career coach friend of mine named Remy Martin, Career Design Lab. And what it does is it uses a design thinking strategy and methodology to be able to essentially go through and understand the various different types of options that you're looking at in your career search. And I use it with my clients. And yes, I use a free resource with my clients. I am not attached to any type of dogma, especially my own dogma, because at the end of the day, I give credit where credit's due in terms of what I do use. And that has been essential. And I've had clients get jobs through getting that clarity. So to what you were saying, Andrea. And then to what you were saying as well, your name again? Ha? What Ha was saying as well is balance and emotional resilience, balance and play. So one of the things is that when looking at exploring a career transition, you're dipping your toes into something that possibly you haven't done before. Mm-hmm. And so one of the best ways is to get outside and go and volunteer and play. Find something that you want to do and volunteer and do it. It's one of the best ways to be able to build relationships. And to what Brian was saying, be vulnerable and have curiosity. Go up to those where you are volunteering to be able to then have more of an understanding of, hey, listen, like I'm curious, like what is it like for you? It's one of the best ways to have an informational interview. Just go and volunteer at a place or in a certain sector that you are interested in going into. So volunteer and play while you're doing it because you're an explorer. And then more targeting wise, ideal candidate profile. Who knows when ICP is in sales or business? ICP, ideal consumer profile, right? Wow, this is an ideal candidate profile. Once you have that clarity, then create your own user persona of what the ideal candidate is if you are looking at your transferable skill sets and being like, I want to be a candidate in this new vertical or this new position. What does that entail? ICP. And lastly, resume, real quick. I probably hired over 450 plus people in my career. I spend 20 seconds or less on a resume. And I ask myself the following questions. One, I want to disqualify you. I'm lazy. I have 1,000 resumes to go through. So I don't want to do the effort of moving you forward because that's more effort. So I want to disqualify you. So please put everything in your resume or everything that you need to do in terms of showing that picture of you on that resume, meaning dates, all of the different pieces of it. Do that. Do not miss out on things because then we will, second, doubt it, right? And doubting it, then it will just be like, we'll pass it on and we'll move forward. And so then the third is that if I do want to move you forward, it's because I saw something and I saw everything laid out exactly clear how I want it, and it's like, okay, boom, 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 boom. And so think about it in that way of don't leave out things on a resume. And I'm happy to also go into any type of debate about this.
Thank you all. Those were amazing key insights. Yes. Amazing key insights into how to transition careers. Now we'll start with you, Julian, for the next question. What?
I'm warmed up, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, you're warmed up, so let's keep going, Julian. So based on what you're seeing with your clients, what fields, what careers are the best to transition into right now? Maybe give some case studies or examples.
Oh. Well, I'm only going to speak from my own experiences and what I know, because I don't want to speak from anything else. And outside of tech?
Outside of tech.
Okay. Oh boy. Okay. Well, so from come back to me.
If all of your clients are in tech, then what's the best role in tech?
Oh, okay. I can
How about that?
Okay.
As it would be option B.
Right now, the best roles in tech are the ones where in which that AI cannot replace in the next number of years, and all, in terms of the various different responsibilities of a job. And so if it's in tech, it primarily has to do with you being a builder. So building the products. The other is a revenue generator, a rainmaker, right? So in terms of with sales, for example, that is also another one where in which that it is really, to someone's point earlier in another panel, it's there's people business to it, and that AI will not replace that right now. And so go to market. So really to capture it, technical, engineering, and then go to market roles.
Awesome. Ryan.
Cool. Yeah, just to piggyback off of that, outside of tech, I see a lot of people either trying to get a job, right, that hasn't for a while, transitioning into maybe even starting a business or even creating content. So I think this is the force multiplier, and I've seen it time and time again. People are quitting their jobs after building a brand on LinkedIn, and building a personal brand, leveraging AI to help you write the posts, create the graphics, everything. Employers will want to work with you instead. So you don't even have to apply to jobs, right? If you think about it, most employers are trying to partner up with personal brands, people that have their own following. They want to piggyback off of that, right? So imagine you had 100,000 followers and you're applying for the same job that someone has 500 for. Instantly, they're just gonna be like, how did they have that, right? How did they get that? And we should look into that. You're already gonna be on their radar. So you already have the competitive advantage. And from there, it's what you want to transition into. It's kind of your call, potentially, because you have so many brands wanting to work with you. So yeah, I see the creator economy growing to 500 billion in about 3 years, from 2 to 300 billion right now. So I think it's a huge market.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So when thinking about transitioning, right, I like to think about industries that are less snobby than tech. Tech is famous for having these job descriptions like, we want someone with X number of years of experience with this technology, and when you look it up, the technology has been out 6 months, right? Like, we've all seen this, right? And there's often, especially like venture-backed startups or the FANG companies, right? They're looking for pedigree, like capital S snob. There is so much that we need to do for our planet, physical environment. There is an enormous opportunity right now in renewables, in clean technology, alternative fuels. And what I'm seeing in this area is that they're not snobby yet. Hopefully they don't get snobby. But because it's a new and growing industry, there hasn't been time for them to say, okay, we are only gonna take people who've come out of some other sustainability organization. They're looking still for transferable skills, and they're looking for passion. They're looking for what drives you to want to do this over something else. And that's something that a lot of people just carry within them. Certainly I do. Work for Climate or Work on Climate is a Slack channel that you can join and have conversations with folks within these different industries or different companies in the industry. We have a client that is a nonprofit in Central California. It's called BEAM, B-E-A-M Circular. And what they are doing is building an entire new industry within California based on circular bioeconomy. So that means we're going to take the waste from our agriculture and make new products. We are going to make fuel. We are going to make plastic out of grape leaves. I don't know, I'm making that up, but it's essentially like a startup incubator that we all go and attend in tech, but specifically only for companies in this area. They're a nonprofit that's been around a year and a half, 2 years. They have raised an insane amount of money that I've never seen in a nonprofit. And what that tells me is that we've got finally demand from the public. We have new laws and regulations being passed where companies have to report their carbon emissions, not only their own, from their supply chain, right? So we have regulators also creating demand, and we have the federal government putting a bunch of money into this area. So there's a lot of evidence that this is growing now and going to continue to grow.
Thank you.
I have a different perspective on this. I've been working with my client, and even though they are doing job search, very aligned with their experience, every time they sit down with me, they told me that this is difficult. Why do I have to make the case again? I've had experience. I've done this for the last 10 years, 20 years. The truth is, whenever you apply for a new job that you have experience in, or you transition, it will feel like a fight. So I don't have a definitive answer as in which industry you should focus on. I will tell you what I tell my client though, which is, I know this is hard. You have your value, and you want to look for an employer that align with what you value, and you only need one. Because the thought that make it challenging is, oh, they all look for so-and-so that I don't have or that I don't like. You only need one. So work really hard to find that one employer that align with your value and see you as a valuable asset to the company.
Good job. What was the question again?
Just what fields are you seeing the most opportunity
Okay.
outside of tech or inside of tech? What's the
So this
best
might not
job?
be my cup of tea, because I don't really do a lot of the recruiting side. I mean, for one, obviously, I think you can't really make a blanket statement, right? You got to look at each individual. You know, I mean, as a generality, I think look into the trades. You know, I don't know that everybody.
Oh, by the way, the next panel after this is careers and trades with a whole panel of trades people. So
Okay, yeah, I mean, the trades are where it's at if
Yeah.
you're looking for, you know, the area that's lacking and,
Yep.
you know, the tech is kind of overrun, so.
Yep.
But, you know, not everybody wants to be a plumber, you know, so you really gotta, you know, kind of deal with each particular person and what they're looking at, but.
don't tell Lon Chi, we've got the pipe trades.
Right.
out there. That is the
But the
plumber's
one thing
trade.
I say is definitely, you know, it's always good to do a little brainstorming session. I do, when I work with people on their resumes, I do everything from scratch and by interview. And after I work with them on, you know, the layout and then interview them on the jobs, and at the end, to come up with the top bullets is I do a brainstorming. And I feel like it's really valuable because when you're trying to create a sentence that's like, I am this and that and whatever, you lock up. Oh, you know, like people can't talk about themselves. It's a common thing. I get it almost every client I've ever had. Oh, I'm so bad at this. Yeah, I know. So is everybody. Yeah, so is everybody. We all hate talking about ourselves. In fact, I get help on my resume But the brainstorming part is great. And what I do is I brainstorm and what are the nouns you can call me? And don't always use, job titles like manager. Again, kind of back to what I said before was just, look at negotiator, coordinator, planner, things that are like general skills. And then I say, look at your adjectives. What am I? I'm resourceful, I'm determined, I'm self-manageable, I'm self-driven, and separate those. And then what I do is I said, okay, now let's take this. And I look at all those nouns we came up with. And I said, what makes you exceptionally good at being a negotiator? Tell me, what is that, right? And so then we break all this stuff down in ways that dismantle the fear, dismantle the resistance that people have about talking about themselves, because they're just talking about this little piece or that little piece. And when you get all that down on paper, you'd be surprised what you find as the skills. And that's why, people ask me if I do career coaching, and I say that the process of doing a resume with me is career coaching, because the whole time I'm working with somebody, I'm looking at not only what lights them up when they talk about it, but I'm looking at how they talk, how they communicate. What are their skills there? Are they concise? Are they, all those things. And so I kind of can help them see, have you ever thought about a career in training? You like public speaking, you like, sharing your knowledge, so anyway, there's things, but to close out, I would also like to say is don't forget that we live in a totally different era today than 30 years ago, where to start a company, you needed a ton of capital, right? Remember that you can, all these people who are so ingrained and so used to working for somebody else and pulling a paycheck, remember that there are 1,000 ways nowadays where you can start your own company. Maybe it's not bringing in $200K a year, day one, but get out there. What are your skills? What are you able to offer? Are you somebody who's, are you a recruiter who's out of work? Maybe help people with career coaching, get a few people on the side. You can do all of this with just Facebook marketing, all of these unpaid things. You don't need business licenses. You don't need all that stuff. You can just go out and then that's how I got started as resumes. I used to work in tech. I wrote the white papers and brochures and websites for Sonos networks. I wrote for high-tech telecom switching equipment. And then what happened? Telecom went down. I went freelance. And then all my friends were like, God, I'm looking for a job. So I started helping with their resumes. Before you knew it, I was like, hey guys, I can't keep doing this for free.
You had tech layoffs before?
Oh yeah, so I was like, hey, I'm gonna have to charge you. And then I'm telling you, in 20 years of doing resumes, never once to this day have I advertised, not even for free. I am word of mouth. You can only get me if you know me, and there's no better sales than a successful client. So just remember that you don't need other companies. Start making money with what you know how to do. And that might be small today, but wait 5 years down the road when you got 12 people who said, this chick really helped me out, And so just keep your mind open. Don't look in the straight and narrow all the time. Make sure you're looking at the peripheral.
Oh, thank you. That's awesome. What I would like to say is, context, purpose, and paradigm. And your paradigm is how you view things. Everybody understands paradigm, right? So your context is how you show up, and your purpose is what keeps you on track. One of the tips that I'd like to give you that really helped me out is, 20, maybe even 25, 30 years ago, I don't know how long it was quite a while. I was here in San Francisco, and there was a fellow by the name of Stephen Covey who did a seminar, and I didn't know who he was, and I didn't realize he was part of this Franklin Day Planner and the whole bit, right? But he was the mentor to IBM, right? So he had this seminar, and I went, and it changed my life because he had almost the entire talk was about paradigm. And to hear him talk for at least an hour about paradigm is life-changing. You will change your paradigm. So what you need to take a look at is how is it that you're looking at everything? Because the way that you're looking at it could be limited. It's limited by your own belief system. It's limited by how you grew up, where you went to school, who your parents were, and everyone who has influenced you. If you want to change your paradigm, take a look at your sphere of influence. That's all the people that you influence. But guess what? All the people you influence, they influence you. So how are the people around you influencing you? And you can bring new people into your life that will influence you by the fact that you're standing for a new type of something, whatever that is. And that's called possibility. It's being able to stand in the place of the unknown and stand for something that you don't know, but be willing to stand there anyway, right? So I ended up, one of the businesses I started was a construction company, and I was a builder for almost 3 decades. And I had a great time doing that for about the first decade and a half. And then my body wasn't really into it anymore. And I started drinking and ended up with a drinking problem. And it took me down. And I ended up losing almost everything. And then the financial crash in 2008 finished that off as well. So it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. I wasn't functional at that point, but I came back from that place. And when I came back, and I got a lot of help, by the way, but that's not what we're here to talk about. What I'm here to talk about is that one of my mentors asked me what I was doing. And I said, I don't know. And he said, great. That's an incredibly wonderful place to start. And that's when I first learned about interests lists and finding out what I was interested in. And what he said was, he said, so while everything was crashed and I was living on some back, unemployment and some savings, I looked around and I saw that fathers were not spending time with their sons because they were working so hard. And so I just started this thing called Fathers and Sons. And I started getting fathers together with their sons. I said, look, you don't have to plan anything. Everything is done. You just show up. I'll have it all planned out. I love nature. So like I'm an avid environmentalist. Oh, by the way, when I had that truck, the big Ford F-350 that guzzled everything and passed everything but a gas station, I had a bumper sticker on that thing that said, I identify as a Prius. Why? Because I'm an environmentalist. At heart, I'm an environmentalist, right? So like I care about the earth. And I believe that, yes, this is the way. It's like we're going to become more and more conscious as a species, and we're going to want to take care of things. We've got a lot of cleanup to do. So I think those are going to be really great jobs. But as I took a look at, he said, so you're taking these kids out and these fathers out. Oh, they just show up and they have a great time. We go out into nature and we're doing rocks, ropes, kayaking, wilderness skills, fire making, all these kinds of things. He said, you would be great working with kids. And I said, really? He goes, oh yeah, you're just doing it naturally. So I went back to school for ECE, and I became a preschool teacher, and I did that for a little bit, and then I got involved, and then through all of that, I ended up meeting somebody who was saying, do you realize we've got boys falling through the cracks, like unbelievable right now, just falling through the cracks. They're falling behind girls in school academically 3-to-1 right now, and they're more likely to commit suicide, more likely to quit high school, and right now 75% of all the crime that happens in the United States, according to the DOJ, is committed by a high school dropout. He said, you would be a great youth mentor. Next thing you know, I'm in the school system mentoring middle school boys. And the program is wildly successful. And there's a career in that. Who knew? Who knew? All along the way, as I'm getting clean and sober, by the way, I had a friend of mine who came to one of our circles. So we started holding men's circles for all those fathers, right? Supporting them to be the best fathers that they can be. He came, he said, I want you to be a coach at my clinic. I said, coaching what? He said, just talk to the men, right? And so next thing you know, I'm at this clinic and I'm coaching men how to live a great life, how to get in touch with their passion, how to change careers if they need to change careers, et cetera, et cetera. He said, I want you to talk to the ladies now. I don't know anything about the ladies in that way. I want to date ladies, but not in that way. And he said, you know more than you think you do. And next thing you know, half of my clients are women. And he said, now, why don't you add the next component, get the license. Now I'm almost got my 3,000 hours to get my counseling license, okay? I didn't ever set out to be a life coach. I didn't set out to be an addiction counselor. I'm working at a behavioral health clinic, and I'm working for Boys to Men networking, mentoring network, and there's a career in it. Unbelievable. I had no idea, but I had to stand in that place of possibility. I had to get all the cobwebs out of my head that said, oh, my dad said it had to look like this, or these are the only kind of jobs I could do. And I can't remember now, we've all said so many things up here that I can't remember who said what, but I do remember the skill set. Focusing on your skill sets, and then having your sphere of influence, the people around you, tell you what your skill sets are, not just you, because they will see things in you that you didn't see in yourself. And then widen your sphere of influence by bringing more people into it with diverse skills and beliefs.
Wow. Already so many great tips. The career coach in me has to also point out the individuality piece, where I do really want people to enjoy what they do every day. That, you're not dreading that Monday, you're not dreading, what you do day to day, and finding that passion. So for me, the right job is what ignites passion for you. And I do think that finding the right mentor, finding the right career coach is extremely helpful, because that helped me early on. I remember when I sat and I talked about my interests, and I love relationship building, and I love communication, and I love this. And I remember this person was like, you should look into account management. And I was like, have they not been listening? I don't like accounting, like I was a student, I didn't know it. But I didn't realize that account management, now are using more client success, which I like that term way more. But I didn't realize that he was absolutely listening, and he really did hit exactly what I needed, because that's really where I ended up focusing my career. But because we are talking about moving out of tech and other opportunities, I do want to also emphasize what's been shared, just that it doesn't have to be one thing. Right now, we're living in a world where you can do multiple things and get different lines of revenue. And one of the things that I also want to share, I know it was discussed in the first session, that curiosity. And I got curious about even like TikTok. I was like, I want to do TikTok, and I became a TikTok influencer. And there was one time I was like, you know what? Let me try doing this product stuff. Like, it was totally outside my comfort zone. I made over $300 on like one toothpaste video. And it's just something that it's like, just try it. Just go and see, do I like this? Do I like creating videos? But in real world experience, what I have seen though is my previous manager, she moved to be a life coach similarly, but the way she did it was she had an amazing manager who told her, take 2 weeks off. Take 2 weeks off and 100% focus on this, itching passion of yours that you have, to figure out if you can really see yourself doing that every day. I know there's been tips about mentoring, shadowing, but I think it goes down to giving yourself that time to really understand, what is it like? Will I enjoy it? And getting to the clarity. I've seen people, product leaders recently move to consulting. I have a friend who created an amazing book. It happened to go viral. She just opened her publishing company, Dick's Publishing. And so if you've ever wanted to be an author, there's not as much red tape. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's an easy, thing to accomplish. It is a lot of work, but think of the dreams that you've been wanting to do, something that ignites passion, and do it, and go for it.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna move into just one final round of questions and then open it up to the audience. So we're gonna do the AI questions. So I would like to invite everyone in this room to apply to take a free AI class, a 6-week boot camp that I will be teaching at the Occur Career Development Center in Oakland on Foothill Boulevard. So if anyone is interested in learning practical AI tools for business, I've been using AI every day in my startups for the last 2 years. I started helping businesses use AI in 2008 with social media sentiment analysis. And I would love to teach any of you who are interested how to build great prompts, how to build custom GPTs, how to use AI for social media content creation, and we have a guest lecturer who's an expert at AI for video and graphics, and we're hearing a lot about content creation. So if you go to occurnow.org, you'll see a link where you can apply to the AI practical tools for business. So with that said, let's now go the other way. How are you using AI, either in your work or encouraging your clients to adopt AI, or if not, why not? What are the AI tools, tips, tricks that you are using and recommending right now in your practices?
Yeah, there are a lot of AI tips and tricks that can help you through a career transition or even through your job search. And I know I do want to also touch on the point that there are some resistance to AI and some fear around AI replacing jobs. And I do want to encourage people to at least, again, that curiosity, go to ChatGPT, do some prompting, and get familiar with it, because it will make you really efficient in your job and help you with your job search. So two things here. So one is AI can help you with your resume, cover letter, interview prepping. You can literally put a job post against your resume and get very tailored feedback to improve your chances of passing the ATS, which I like to say the applicant trashing system, because as Julian shared, like it literally what they're trying to do is just, move on. Like I have too many resumes. But I don't want to lose that human touch. We have some really great, resume writers, some career coaches here, where they can guide you on how to really put your best foot forward in drafting it, in talking to you, how do you can quantify it, which is just a compliment to AI. Something else with the AIs, you can look at, optimizing your LinkedIn. Somebody touched on, I believe it was you, who, recruiters can come to you, right? And you can use AI to help, improve the way that you are branding yourself and getting recruiters coming your way instead of you being the one reaching out. I can probably go on and on, but I do want to give a chance to my friends here to share some tips, and I'm happy to talk afterwards and I'm diving a little bit deeper on how to use AI in your job search.
Awesome, thank you. So before I forget, I mentioned Stephen Covey, and I want, if you have not already, I'd say get the audiobook, or if you're a reader, read the book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Absolutely fabulous. It's poignant. It's just as relevant today as it was the day that it was written. It'll always be, because it's really based on relationship and paradigm. So it's really about you and how you interface with the world. I think it's absolutely crucial, because relationship, as I said from the very beginning, I think it's the key. It's about you. It's your relationship with everyone around you and everything that you do, okay? So in the work that I'm doing right now, especially with Boys to Men mentoring, we've been using AI because, just to give you a quick one, so down in San Diego, the fellows that started Boys to Men mentoring, they started in 2009 with the first classroom mentoring program, where we take boys, especially those who don't have fathers, out of the classroom into a circle, and we teach them how to hold confidentiality, talk about the things that are difficult, and get all the support that they need to grow into healthy young men, to make that transition so that they're not at risk of that transition to healthy adulthood, right? And they started with just one in 2009, and now they've got 38 schools mentoring over 1,000 boys. Our vision is to do that here in Northern California. So they helped us with pilot programs up here since 2015. So we're ready now, and they don't want to umbrella that anymore. So they said, you have to start your own nonprofit organization. I said, well, that's one I don't know. So AI has helped us with starting our nonprofit organization. You can go into ChatGPT or any of these other ones, and it'll tell you all the different steps. We need to fundraise right now. Our brother organization in Southern California is a $1 million funded organization to do what it does to reach over 1,000 boys a week, weekly mentoring, and then taking them out into nature, doing rites of passage experiences, all this kind of stuff. So we're like, okay, we're cool. We need to do that. So again, back to ChatGPT, what do we need to do? Well, we need to have a campaign. We need to have peer-to-peer fundraising. We need to have a sizzle reel that explains everything that we're doing in 3 minutes. Oh, what are the components of a sizzle reel? ChatGPT, boom, 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 explained it all. Hired a video artist. He came up, he was up here with us for an hour, for a week, and he took about 40 hours worth of content. So we're about to come out with our big fundraiser this next week. So in a week, we launch our first fundraiser for the Northern California Boys to Men chapter, and we're looking for $108,000. That's our first one. But we want to be $1 million funded organization by next year, so we can have 50 schools within the next 5 to 10 years. 1,500 to 1,000, 2,000 boys a week being mentored, right? So ChatGPT, so that's what I know about AI. It's helped us do writing. It's helped us write our financial prospectuses. It's helped us write our executive summary. It tells us about all the different points that we need to know and cover so that when somebody's looking at us as a major funder. So this is a whole nother area that touches on higher purpose. There's like your current purpose, and then there's your higher purpose. What calls to you? What do you want to leave here when you leave this earth? Like, what legacy do you want to leave here? What kind of influence do you want to have on the people after you? And that's what we call higher purpose. And so I've stumbled on, by accident, just being myself, being in possibility, my higher purpose. And I'm putting the rest of my life into this project. And that's what I would say, is as I'll use every resource that is possibly at my disposal to complete what it is that I'm here to do on the earth while I'm here, and make the greatest difference that I possibly can. And when you're living from that place, it's a really happy place, and you wake up in a good place every day. Thank you.
I'm in the wrong spot. I'm like, oh, AI. I mean, I think maybe, okay, so I'm just gonna say it out loud. I don't recommend using AI for your resume in my experience, but of course, I'm coming from a place where I write very, very custom resumes with interview time, really digging in, really exploring your skills, going in. So I have to acknowledge, let me just acknowledge people that can't afford potentially to have a well-written or a professionally written resume. So from that perspective, I would say, you know, using AI to kind of double check yourself would be good. I have seen my resume taken into AI and rewritten, and it was terrible. It went from concise, sharp, you know, to wrapping bullets, more bullets to say all the same stuff. So in my experience, it hasn't been good. So I really highly recommend that you don't let the machine write your resume. Make sure that you've at least double checked what's in there and make that very concise. I think it's a great idea to use it to help review your resume, to help, you know, other things. But I do want to say one thing, kind of a little bit of a side note on this, and it's about customizing resumes, because I know I get this question all the time. And I had, you know, this one client, C-level executive, and every time she applied for a job, she wanted to come back, have it customized to the job she was looking for. And I said, what in here don't we have? You know, like, we've done an exceptional job of you know, showing who you are. And she kept thinking, well, I want these words and those words. I want to use the words they use and all this stuff. And I said, finally, let me do you a favor. You know, let's settle the debate. I'm going to send this to another client of mine who's done recruiting for 25 years, expert in recruiting. And I sent her the job application and the resume. And I said, what do you think here isn't there? How would you change this? How would you customize it? And she said, you know, nothing really, maybe use this word or whatever. She said, but I do want to tell you that when I see resumes that are too custom to the job application I see, what that says to me is this person's just blowing smoke up my butt. You know, these people are just telling me what I want to hear and not really telling me what they're good at. Do you know what I mean? So be careful of falling into that pitfall of trying to make it so much like what they're looking for. You're doing this song and dance, like me, and you're not being genuine. You know, you're losing your credibility. You're losing your, you know, like, what makes you you. So I would just say, you know, personally, like, in the way that I do a resume, you know, I've got, you know, my top bullets instead of a paragraph summary. I like bullets. I like everything in bullets because, like he said, 20 seconds. Yeah. Nobody's reading your paragraph in 20 seconds. I promise you that.
10 seconds.
Promise you. So, bullets. Never let a bullet wrap. People can only absorb things in small snippets. I always say you have to feed people your resume one bite at a time, and you have to sing the airplane song on the way in. You know, you gotta love Because again, your people are reading this that don't really want to read this. You know, this isn't enjoyable reading. So get to the point. There's a thing I like to call glanceability, and I was listening to you as you were talking about it. Make sure that that resume is glanceable. And what that means is that every job, every company is in the same font and header and size and style and bold or whatever. Every job title you've held is in a different but same font, title, italics, whatever it is. Just maintain consistency so that as I'm looking at it, you know, those top bullets suck me in because they're interesting and they're different and they're concise and dynamic and they'll get a punch in the nose. And then the other ones, they're just going to glance down at, and you better make sure that's easy to see. Don't make them dig for it. Everything you do, write it for the reader, not for what you want to say. Think about what that reader needs to hear. And that's a real skill. So make sure that you're really keeping those things in mind, and that's my part on AI.
Amen.
I feel like there's a lot of advice already being shared. I would only want to echo on what you just said, which is AI is powerful, but it is as powerful as you allow it to be. If you put in garbage, you will receive garbage. One of the things that I heard recently that I really like is it has never been easier to be average. So AI is very powerful, but instead of just saying, write me a resume, you have to think about like, what kind of profile you want to paint. And then this is what I target, this is what I have. And then how do I come in? How do I build my remarkability through this? Like, work with AI as a person, as a real assistant, instead of just think of it as a worker and say, hey, give me this, give me that. It will give you garbage. So, yeah, it has never been easier to be average, and don't be average.
Yeah. Good point.
That's awesome. Both of you. Absolutely, 100%. I'm gonna get canceled because in a couple years when the robots take over and just do this, they're gonna come for me. But I am not a fan of AI. It uses a ton of energy. It is used for a lot of totally flippant, unnecessary tasks, in my view. I think there's amazing applications when you put it into like drug development, things that take an enormous amount of time and brain power that we can really be like leveraging for new novel solutions to real world problems. Absolutely, we should be putting it full force towards that. Do I need more spam email marketing flying at me every time I open my phone because AI has enabled it? No, I do not. Do we need to take the cost for that as a society? I argue
Cold email campaigns are plummeting in effectiveness now too because of the oversaturation of personalized AI written emails. So 100%.
I'm seeing it on LinkedIn as well. It's very clear and obvious, right?
Yeah.
So a cornerstone for me, just if you can't tell from the name April Starlight already, right? But like individuality, authenticity. Nobody can be you aside from yourself. Everybody can be ChatGPT, right? To your point. So I think part of your question was how
are you using it? How are you
using
recommending your clients use it?
Yeah. So unfortunately, every recruiting tool has felt pressured by the market to bring in AI features, right? LinkedIn has thrown these at us. They only turned the ability for us to turn it off recently. You know, like it would automatically write garbage for us. Like I guarantee you that if I sent you an outreach that was written by their built-in tool, you would be mad at me. You would think I am a bad recruiter. And I had to manually, like I don't have a robot on my side to delete it, right? But when I look at it from a perspective of a business owner, AI would enable me to bring anybody, like if I could just raise your hand if you want to come work at my company, and then I could sit you down and AI could do like a baseline job, right? Where you wouldn't have to be trained. And so what I think AI enables for many companies that are not in these niche research areas is it enables you to go from 0 to 1, right? Like you don't know how to make a video outline or whatever it was that you said, right? You can use this tool for something that's out of your area of specialization. What it does not enable you to get is from 90 to 100. And that's really when you're trying to be your authentic self out in the world and bring your unique offering that no one else can bring. That's really what you're looking to do, is level up your own personal skills. And that's what AI will never be able to do for you. So I actually think we're going to have a renaissance of in-person meeting, because the more and more that we have deep fake videos, the more and more that content is made by AI, we're just not going to know, or even these robocallers, right? Has anybody received a call from someone that sounded like they were like taking breaths on the phone and pausing, and you realize it's a robot, like there's little tells, and right? So what is going to become more valuable than anything is, hey, I met this person, we made eye contact, like they were breathing and alive, right? I can vouch for that. I think it's actually going to bring more value to recruitment of like, I have worked with this person, they're real. None of this is fraudulent. So that's my hot take on it. I think that we're in a time right now where all industry is basically trying to figure out what their workflow is going to look like as AI gets brought more into the fold, which pieces are going to need to be done, which pieces will be automated. And it's sort of up in the air right now. It's sort of a guessing game. So everyone here is a living person looking for a real way to make a living and focus on the things that you can do that are outside of AI.
Well said. I'd have to agree with everyone, actually. These were really great points. And when I think about AI, it's here to stay. That's the truth. That's a matter of fact. How we leverage AI is the next question, whether for good or for bad. It's just a tool that we created, and now it's here to stay, and we're living alongside. And based off these points on the career development side, the resumes, etc., all these nuances, I think it does help you to go from 0 to 1. You can have your own career coach as best as you can prompt it. So if you don't know what to prompt it and how to visualize your resume in such a formatting that is visually appealing, then you will never know. But how do you get those prompts? You can actually ask ChatGPT, what should I be asking here as well? So ask you those questions so you can give it input. Just say. But one thing that I don't think AI will ever take, going back to what you said, April, is like personal branding skills, these things, human connection, that like everyone in this building right here, this is a different level of connection. We can say we weren't in a Zoom meeting, we can say hi to each other, right? And just be like, hey, you were there too. Hey, yeah, this is awesome. And just leverage from there. And I think I overheard at the front desk, someone got a job because they attended this event. So amazing. Awesome. Thanks for organizing.
Right.
Yeah. So I think it's going back to basics on people that are getting the opportunities, people that are actually physically showing up right here and having that genuine connection and that passion, right? That shows. That's something that AI will almost never be able to replicate, right? Or at least a very long time, I think, right? That human-to-human interaction. So yeah, it's ultimately just a tool. How you leverage it is up to you.
Again, I'm the caboose. So let's see. I would like to speak from my experience as a recruiter and speak about, put it simply. So what happens after you submit the resume and you get an interview? And who is that person typically who does an interview? Person who does an interview. A human, typically. You will talk to at least one human, maybe probably multiple humans in the process. So if you started the process by asking AI to help construct the resume, where in which that then you have to communicate your experience to a human based off of something that was written by the AI. How prepared are you? Writing a resume prepares you for the whole rest of your process. So those bullet points that you were speaking to, your name again? Monica, is exactly right. Those bullet points at the top. Hit those bullet points at the top, because those bullet points are exactly what you do when you do your personal pitch. When you get asked the first question, tell me more about your background and experience. It's the first question. It's the first question, right? How are you going to speak to them if it was written by AI? Now, granted, AI can help you along the way, but it needs to come from you. In the previous panel, we heard something of advice around communication. In the world of AI, with deepfake and everything that is going on, your authentic expression of your own communication around how you communicate about yourself, your values, your skill sets, and the way in which that you come across is going to become even more crucial. So my perspective on this is, do not use AI to write your resume. Okay? Don't do it. It's personalized. It needs to be personalized and it needs to be hit. Okay? So that's my first hot take on this, because you are going to communicate with humans. The second thing is that there is a lot of noise out there. A lot of different tools, a lot of different job seeker tools, blah, 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 a lot of GPT wrappers as well added to these different tools. Use the tools for how they can support you. For example, hunter.co, Huntr.co. Does anyone know hunter.co in the audience? Okay. Oh, you're a recruiter. Okay, all right, great. Hunter.co. And I don't work for hunter.co. I just really appreciate the agentic workflow that they have, which is essentially moving your box from one Kanban board, essentially, and then a workflow of how to be able to organize your job search process. So hunter.co, really great for organizing the job search process and having that order around how you go about it, right? You can add in your job, you can add in who your contacts are within like that job that you know about. It's like the next version of, essentially I always use trackers in Google Sheets, but this is really taking it to the next step. Now, hunter.co has a bunch of AI tooling within it as well to be able to craft your resume and create your cover letter and everything like that. I'll wrap up here in a second. Don't use those tools. They're not there yet. Okay, they're not there yet. Again, just summarize, resume, write yourself, because then you're gonna have to speak about yourself in the process. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
So now I just want to see if there are any questions from the audience. Great, and you can just direct it at one person. I don't know if we have time to go through all the panelists right now. You can just kind of do a jump ball for these.
This would be a question really based for the people who are reading resumes. So as somebody who is considering transitioning out of tech, I'm a quality assurance engineer. Assuming I could get my skills in a way that you could explain them, it's like, how am I going to explain my job title, quality engineer, quality engineer, quality engineer? Part one of the question. Part two of the question is, y'all talking about 20 seconds, do you look at the cover letter at all, or has that just been a giant waste of my whole entire career right now?
I'll go ahead and speak to the first part of that is, what you'll find is that you're not just a quality engineer. Like, what do you do day to day? Are you a writer, an editor? Are you a leader, a mentor, a manager? Are you, you know what I'm saying? There's the pitfall there is really your own narrow thinking of like, I'm a quality engineer, because there's really many things.
I mean more like, because somebody's gonna read that, I might be able to explain all of the things, but they're gonna read the titles. How am I gonna get them to make the leap into this new title that I'm looking for?
Right. Well, so again, the first bullet, as usually like, and again, everybody's a little different. Like some people, they just want something new, they don't know what. There's other people who know they want something else, but they know exactly what that is. And so again, everybody's different, but, for example, like with the military ones, it's like, so such and such military professional now transitioning to corporate roles. If I wanted, I could have said, such and such professional now transitioning into sales roles or transitioning into, one of my examples I have is somebody who's now wanting to transition into management. They've had enough of their experience in lower level roles and they want, so right up front, we say so-and-so, professional. A lot of times I just use the word professional because remember, there's times I'm trying not to pigeonhole people. So there's many times I'm either writing it very broad, there's other times I'm writing it very specific. And again, that's just depending on each person. But yeah, so, I would.
Thank you, that makes sense.
All right, thanks.
And the cover letter, please.
I'm curious about that too.
Can I just clarify something real quick? Let me just clarify something. So what I was saying about the 20 seconds is that in 20 seconds, I want to find a way to disqualify you. If I find something that's more interesting, then I'll read more. And that will then increase the amount of time that I spend on your resume. If I'm spending more than 2 minutes on the resume, I will then ask myself, why are you spending this amount of time on a resume? You didn't get the clear signal, and I will most likely reject. So that's my own personal way of like time saving and really being able to qualify. So I just wanted to mention that.
Awesome. I'll take the cover letter piece. It's a real mixed bag on cover letters. I have worked with clients, hiring teams, they absolutely want to see that cover letter. And a good large chunk of them that feel that it's a waste of time. And what I've been told is any time I spend on the cover letter is time stolen off the resume. So I don't typically recommend a cover letter. There's 3 reasons why I would say, yes, take the time to write the cover letter. One is if there's some sort of special interest, right? I did a couple-year contract with Crunchyroll, and they loved anybody who had a special interest with anime. Okay, so in those cases, or if you had just any connection to Japanese language or culture. So in that circumstance, the cover letter was incredibly valuable because you may be a quality engineer. We have no way of knowing that you did a study abroad in Japan without that cover letter. The second reason is if you're applying within, for example, like a mission-driven company, like going back to sustainability and that kind of thing, it gives you the opportunity to express your passion for why you would be applying within this industry if it's, again, not going to be shown on the resume. And the third reason that I would say to include a cover letter is if you are going through a career transition. This is your time to explain briefly, because we do have professional AED, right? What you've done before, why you're going for a different role, and how what you've done before is going to make you successful in a way that other applicants may not be, because you bring this fresh perspective, you have these transferable skills, and P.S. I love this company, right?
Okay, just one more response, and then I want to take one more question from the audience, and I think we've got the mic here, and then we unfortunately do have to wrap up for the trades. We'll take a 10-15 minute break before we do the trades panel.
Okay, I just wanted to speak to cover letter really quick. As a recruiter working for top tech companies, I'd say it's really case by case, but we don't really look at it.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
like only mission-driven companies like that for sure. But if you think about what a cover letter is, you're covering, right? It's the icing on the cake versus the cake is the resume. Am I gonna accept you into my company if you have an awesome cover letter but no experience? No, right? So, and for your first, I would look at, you said quality engineer assurance. You look at the role that you're at and the role that you're trying to go into and look at overlapping experiences, right? You're trying to go into management. What are some things that you've led 0 to 1? Any cross-functional teammates that you've fostered their growth and mentored? That's going to be like front and center on your resume. So that's going to help you say, like, oh, okay, like she's qualified for this role without even saying that.
I'll be quick on the cover letter. 2 things. if you are applying for a more senior or executive role, put that in, because they definitely will look at that. Second, don't look at it as should I do this or not. I look at it from the perspective of I do everything instead of the minimum, right?
I was thinking more, if you're only taking 20 seconds to review something and I've spent an hour agonizing over a cover letter, it's like, because I had to, because it's like it required. So it's like, how are you balancing asking people for all of this data when you know your goal is actually to rule people out versus bring them in? So it's just an interesting perspective. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, one more question, Jacques?
We have
Or-
one from someone who's watching the live stream.
Okay,
First.
we're gonna, all right, let's take it, and if we can just take one answer from the panel, whoever catches the jump ball.
So this individual has been watching all of your answers very carefully, and he said, I agree that AI makes your resume verse generic, but my understanding is that you won't get through the first pass these days because AI is going to scan your resume first. So how do I balance these two things? And then after listening to all of your responses, he said, ARG, they are all assuming that actual humans will read your CV cover letter, and that just isn't the case unless you get through all the AI filters. He feels very strongly about like understanding. And I think this is just from someone who has been in the job market. He's been looking for a job for the past year in tech and wanting to understand all of the specifics.
I'd love to answer this.
Go for it.
So one point that no one's brought up yet actually is we're so nitpicky on the resume, whether to use AI or not. No one's asking, how do I get my resume in front of the right people? No one asked that. And that's the key. You can have slightly, off accomplishments, etc. But if you're not giving your resume to the right person and networking with the recruiter or hiring manager, it's never going to be seen. All the things that we just talked about, whoever has the most optimized resume actually doesn't matter if it doesn't get seen. You could be applicant 999 and I'll stop reading at 900 and you just wasted all that time and money. But if you have a decent resume that fits most of the criteria and you know the hiring manager and you networked to get to the founder or director or whoever's decision maker, that's the key. And you can leverage AI to get there if you know how to use platforms like LinkedIn to filter out who is the decision maker, right? So I think that's the main takeaway from that.
Okay, Jacques?
Okay. This question is for Chris, and Ha had mentioned, during your career changes and pivots, it requires a lot of strength and fortitude. But I derive that strength from a strong sense of purpose, which you talked about. And I'm curious, with all of your life changes and life events, what would you say to someone who's trying to find their purpose or kind of construct that?
Wow.
Just the easy one.
Wow. That's a topic all in itself, isn't it? I think. That's a different conference. But I think, but bring it back to the way that this panel actually started, which was by meditation. And I would say, today, because meditation, I guess, got an interesting, strange, oh, is that some new age, foo-foo thing, whatever, at some point people are like, meditation. So when we bring meditation into the schools, and I've been trained and certified to bring meditation to kids, anywhere from 1st through 8th grade right now. And so that's, we call it mindfulness. So mindfulness, but basically it's meditation, right? So if you can learn meditation, you can learn to calm yourself, you can go inside. We know everything we need to know. We're connected. We're as connected as everything else in this life. The sun, the moon, the stars, the earth, the planet, the animals, all of it. We're all part of the same thing, right? All of this infinite intelligence, when we talk about intelligence and you look at the metaphysics of how this whole thing even exists, is so astronomically unbelievable that it's impossible not to understand that there's an innate intelligence to all of it. And you're part of that intelligence. And when we can stop and quiet this thinker long enough to go inside and connect with that intelligence, it's amazing what can happen. And from that place, what I found is a centeredness, a groundedness, and a balanced place in my life. So I don't want to get out of my house in the morning until I've sat on my cushion and done my meditation. Meditation then becomes the cornerstone or the foundation of my day. And then it carries out through everything else that I do. So there's no longer like if you're on the cushion, you're meditating, but if I'm walking, I'm not meditating. Meditating is always happening. This right here, this is a panel meditation I'm doing, right? So everything becomes mindfulness. Everything that comes out of your mouth becomes mindful. The people that you meet and you speak with them, you're going to leave an impression on them. If you're being fully present with them, they're going to get exactly who you are. Even in a brief 30-second, I've had people remember me a year later and run into me and know exactly what we talked about in a conversation a year before, and we only talked for a minute. Because we were present, I was listening, and you leave that impression. If you go inside and you find that foundation within yourself and you find that innate intelligence within you, you will find your purpose and you'll connect with that. And from that place, you come out into the world. So you go in and you come out. And you go in and you come out. And it's just a lifelong process. And you get better and better and better and better at it. And then you have more and more and more gifts to share. Because I have no doubt that every single person in this room is infinitely abundant with what it is that they're here to bring. It just depends on what you want to cultivate in your garden.
Awesome. All right, thank you so much for this wonderful panel. Really appreciate all of your insights and mindfulness. So with that said, we'll take a 10-minute break, and then Jessica Pesico from our Workforce Development DAO will moderate the panel on, is it time to consider trades? Thank you, everyone.